I'm Patti Browne, and you are in the strategy room. It's a showdown in the Granite State today as Republican candidates Donald Trump, Jeb Bush, and Ben Carson each hold town halls in the key early voting state of New Hampshire. But new comments from RNC Chairman Reince Priebus have some wondering whether New Hampshire may lose its first-in-the-nation primary status. Here now with reaction are political strategists Basil, Smikle Jr. and Liz Peek. Thank you both for joining us today.
Good to be here.
Thank you. So Reince Priebus says he doesn't think, quote, there should ever be any sacred cows to the primary process or the order. In fact, he is suggesting a more competitive process of picking the early voting states. Basil, what do you think of that idea?
Well, you know, it's the idea that's been floated many times in the past, many cycles where individual presidential candidates that are looking to sort of boost their own stature in certain states, particularly if it's their home state, they may want that state to come at a certain point in time. But this law is on the books in New Hampshire, and it will require the New Hampshire voters to change it, which I don't suspect will happen anytime soon. They like that status.
Liz, the law, of course, that Basil is referring to is the state law in New Hampshire, which says that their primary is going to be held on a certain date or 7 days before any other primary. But do they have the right to make that decision for the whole country?
Well, I think every 4 years, voters really spend a lot of time scratching their heads and saying, what is it about New Hampshire that makes them so special? Why should they be first? Why should the Iowa caucuses, the fact that all these candidates are trooping out to Iowa every 30 seconds, we all wait, what is the point of this? Look, I think it's very hard to change this law. Why would they do themselves in New Hampshire? They enjoy the publicity and the focus of the attention that they get, unless they are offered something very special in return. And what the RNC could offer is possibly more delegates or some kind of deal that would make it more appealing to people in New Hampshire. But I'm kind of with Basil. I don't really see this happening.
Yeah, Reince Priebus has said that he would be interested in a rotating primary process where you divide the country into 5 quadrants, have a primary about once every 2 weeks, and then you could have a 10-week primary process. He says he's intrigued by that idea, or even the idea of a lottery. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think any of that's going to happen. Yeah. Certainly not anytime soon, because, and I'll say this, I've actually done canvassing in New Hampshire for Joe Lieberman back in 2004. And they are some of the most astute voters you will ever meet, because this is what they do. Every 4 years, they are essentially hosting presidential candidates from both parties. And I think what the presidential candidates like about that is that it actually helps them. It sharpens them as they're campaigning before they get too deep into the primary. So I don't even know if the candidates themselves really want this change. But as I said before, I can't really see New Hampshire voters saying that they want to lose their status as the first in the country.
That's for sure.
I think the interesting thing is, why is he bringing this up at this point? Is he getting pushed by one or another candidate? Is the fact that Donald Trump is doing so well in New Hampshire uncomfortable for the RNC? I have no idea. I think it's kind of crazy to sort of throw this spanner in the works at this stage in the cycle when the schedule is set. I don't know why. I don't know what this is all about, really.
Priebus is saying it's going to be front and center, this issue of which primary comes first. It's going to be front and center at the party's Rules Committee meeting in July. He says no one should get too comfortable. I think this is something we ought to look at as a party.
And you know, it's interesting because, to your point, maybe part of the issue is that if being a northeastern state, it benefits a certain type of candidate, which is not representative of the rest of the country on the Republican side, and so maybe that has a lot to do with it. But again, it's a massive undertaking politically to make
Basil,
this happen.
you know, it's the popularity of Bernie Sanders that's driving everybody.
You're right.
Well, let's take a look at what's going on right now in New Hampshire. As we mentioned, you've got Trump, Carson, and Bush all holding town hall meetings there tonight. Liz, how do you see this all shaking down? Who has the most to win or lose with tonight?
Well, I think, look, Jeb Bush needs a shot in the arm. And any time that there are several candidates making presentations, whether it's a debate or something like these town halls, he's really the guy that's got to kind of step out of his box at some point. Hasn't done it yet. Trump is always, as a front runner, he always has a lot to lose, really. I mean, I don't think he's going to pick up much steam. I think his energy is, I don't mean his energy, but the energy behind his run is sort of fading a little bit. He's getting a little bit more unfavorables, and people are questioning the policy. Now he has 3 policies out there, so now we can start questioning policy. So I would say those two guys are both, look, it's every televised and well-publicized confrontation, if that's the right word, or opportunity right now is very key, because the months are ticking by. Pretty soon we're actually going to be in January and February, and this is all going to have some meaning. So I think Jeb Bush really does need to convince voters and backers too that he really can kind of begin to really pull some punches and kind of gain some momentum. He has just failed to do that.
Right.
Last word.
No, I think Liz is absolutely right. Donald Trump has the most to lose. Everybody else can gain from this. And I think, Rubio in particular may actually benefit from this significantly.
Yeah.
But I think Jeb Bush needs to convince both voters and donors that he's the real deal.
Yeah, Marco Rubio definitely on the rise. All right, Basil Smikle Jr., Liz Peek, thank you both as always for joining us. And you can check out foxnews.com for more on this developing story and the 2016 presidential race. I'm Patti Browne. Thanks for watching.